The oracles of real estate and law. The grand poobahs of Metro Detroit are here to help you with your questions on short sales and bankruptcies, from A to Z and from Lake St. Clair to Lansing, leaving no stone unturned to help you find your way through the dark and into the light. Live on the radio now, Jimmy Moss and Paul Gigliotti.
Hey folks, how you doing? Welcome to the Oracles of Radio with your host, Jimmy Moss. I'm a real estate agent with Red Carpet Platinum here locally in the Tri-County area. And Paul Gigliotti, attorney on hand. How you doing, Brother Paul?
Doing good, thanks.
Yeah, very good. Feeling good is good enough. Hey, I'm going to go pop, 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 pop. What does that mean? It means, is there a housing bubble out there? Because we talk about real estate on this show. I don't know, Paul. What do you think? Do you think there's a housing bubble?
You know, it's an interesting topic because what I think they don't tell enough about on the media is how sometimes things change just based on people's feelings. And what I mean by that is when the economy's bad, a lot of times people will save up their money. They won't spend. They're afraid. They hang on. And then when they get this little inkling of hope, and we all do it at the same time, I don't know why, but people go out and they start spending. So,
yeah, it's the hunky theory, right? You know, it just travels around. So yeah, you bought a house too, recently, yeah. And so how's that going?
It's going good. For once in my life, I think I timed it out pretty well. Where we got the deal on the house we're moving out of, and now headlines everywhere that housing's going up. So for the house we're trying to sell, hopefully, it works out because, we're like everybody else. We're upside down on that other house.
You might have to hold on to it for a little bit and see what happens. I mean, you can look at all the statistics out there. I mean, it depends upon what article you're reading, you can look at Trillia, and, kind of go what they have to say about the housing market. They say, no, it's definitely not a bubble. There is no housing bubble going on here. And, they basically peg that off of rents, You're going to buy a $100,000 house. Great. The $100,000 house, it's going to cost you, let's say, with taxes and insurance out the door, $600. Great. But you're going to rent that house. That house is going to rent for $1,000. So right now, it's advantageous to buy that house rather than renting it. So when it gets to the point where that $100,000 house is $200,000 house, and you would be better off renting, then then it's called the speculation. What happened, and that's just one indicator. But hey, we got a caller real quick. I didn't even put out the number. So, it's Brian. Oh, hold on. Let me click on Brian. I know this cat. Hey, Brian, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How's it going, Jimmy?
It's good. People are like, how do I know Brian? Well, Brian, you are tearing up my house right now that I bought recently too myself, and completely demolishing the ceilings. Just doing a great job remodeling. I couldn't be happier. So what are you guys doing right now at the place? I should say my wife's house.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right now we're insulating the ceilings. We brought the ceilings up from about 7 feet to about 11 feet high, and made them cathedral.
Yeah.
We got the closets all built. The insulation's almost done, and we're getting ready to start drywalling and paneling the walls.
Yeah, folks out there, I bought an old place. It's an old, actually, cabin. So it's like Abraham Lincoln's house. So we were putting tongue and groove up in the ceilings, and I think it was I don't know how far. It's hard to go back and trace that. We work with Parks Title as one of our sponsors here, and they said the house could go back as because there was no records as old as 1890. So it's an old house, but it's not haunted, so that's good. Hey Brian, so I got a couple questions for you, and I know Paul does too, but I'm going to throw it at you first here, buddy.
Sounds good.
First of all, tell the folks the name of your company. I think you guys are family owned, right?
Yes, it's a family company out of Casco Township. It's Verkaman Construction. We're a 3-man crew, but there's no job that we can't really do. The only thing that we don't do is carpet. We do tile, kitchens, bathrooms, remodels, additions, drywall.
Mm-hmm.
you name it, we do it.
Yeah, you guys are doing all that stuff for me, and I try to help out as much as possible. You guys had me up this morning at 6:00, tearing out one of the ceilings in there, and I guess it's a little bit of therapy too, because I get to take the sledgehammer out and just rip stuff down. So I felt pretty good about that after a cup of coffee and a good conversation with my wife this morning. I felt pretty good about coming to the radio show. My arms are a little sore, but nevertheless. Hey, so here's my question to you. Okay, if the folks out there are listening and they're looking at buying a house right now, first of all, what would you look for? I know they're going to have inspection done on the property. I tell everybody out there you should have a home inspection done for sure. What do you see in most houses that people buy that they're that might be, let's say it was a flipped house and the investor came in and did a little bit of touch up and glitter and glitz. A little bit of vanity work. Yeah, a little vanity work. So what do you look for to see past that to make sure that they did a good job and you're getting a good price for the house?
One thing that I always make sure I check for is insulation in the attic.
Mm-hmm.
There's many types of different insulation, but blown-in insulation that's a good thing to have on top of all your ceilings in there. As long as you got at least 30 R30 value
mm-hmm.
in your ceiling, that's a good thing to have. Your linoleum floors, sometimes they're put over rotten floors just to cover it up.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of give and take. Sometimes they're just old linoleum that's on there, and sometimes it's a floor that's ready to fall through, but they patched it over with a little bit of linoleum and made it look nice.
So you're saying check out the attics, check out the flooring. So from top to bottom, look at that. Now the other question is, and I know Paul has one. I'm going to throw one more at you. What when you're going to sell a house? What do you guys think that you got a little bit of money, you want to make it look good? Where do you put your money in to make to get the best bang for your buck in selling your property? What should you spruce up?
Best bang for your buck is going to be your kitchens and your bathrooms.
Mm-hmm.
You can do a lot with a little bit of money in your kitchens and bathrooms. When people walk in, you can stage your house as much as you want, but if your kitchens and baths look like they're an outhouse or
the 70s look,
something along those lines, yeah. If they're outdated, that's something that people will look at and go, that's a huge expense that
yeah,
I'm going to have to undertake just to get my house up to date with the current market.
Yeah.
So
it's like hairy armpits in the '60s, right?
Oh yeah.
You know when you're seeing an old kitchen sink, you're going, "Wow, man, I'm thinking of Kumbaya right now." But go ahead.
And kitchens and baths. Your roof.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing to have at least cohesive roof. Make sure it's all your shingles aren't peeling.
Yeah.
If your roof looks good,
yeah,
even better, because that's another thing people look at. As soon as they walk up, you got your curb appeal.
Yeah.
If the outside of the house, if it needs a coat of paint, it might cost you a couple extra $100 to throw a coat of paint on your house, but it's going to help with the resale value because it's the first thing that people see when they pull up to your house.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've taken people to properties and I pulled up before and you see that that lime colored green house and you're thinking to yourself, man, what's in the inside? And a lot of times they'll say, forget it. They don't even want to see what's in the inside. And it might be the creme de la creme with everything but Yul Brynner, but you're not going to see that because you couldn't get past the lime green, So
yeah. Your curb appeal it's hard to get past something that looks like it should have been in a horror flick.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Hey, Paul, do you got a question for these guys?
Yeah. Hi, Brian. Thanks for spending some time with us here on the show. You talked a little bit about the linoleum floors being on top of rotted floors, but I guess to get more specific, maybe you have some other ideas, like when somebody's buying a house, and I guess I'm going to come right out and say it, but what kind of cover-up stuff should people look for? And I'll give you some examples. Like sometimes you'll see on the basement wall, you'll see concrete patched on there, or you go up in the attic and you see that the roof vents are real new, and like maybe that's a sign that there was a mold problem, or sometimes you'll see where There's 3 layers of roofs on shingles on the roof, and you can only do that so many times. What would you advise to people as far as things to look for as far as maybe the sellers covering stuff up?
Definitely look for water damage. There's a lot of things that people can cover up with paint, but it's only going to cover up for so long. Look in your corners, make sure your corners aren't cracked. Your basement walls, when you see patchwork, look for water damage underneath where any of the patchwork is. That's a good sign that you have a leak in your basement or in your crawl space. Either way, you can have tons of problems down the road with that. If you see a crack in the foundation of your basement, you don't have to run away screaming right away. If you've got water coming through and you can see trickles of water or something like that, that's when you know you're going to have a problem. In your attic, take a flashlight in there. Look for water damage. Definitely check around all your vents.
Yeah, we had that problem with mine, didn't we? When we had that torrential downpour, we were turning on the ceiling, and one of the baffles, I guess you could say, wasn't shutting with the rain. And when we tore down the one ceiling, you could see the insulation was quite wet, and obviously we'll fix that. But that's a telltale sign right there. I mean, if I and I couldn't get up to that part of the attic.
Yeah, if it's in the attic, you might not ever see it.
That little spot was hard to get up there. I mean, you'd have to basically be a ninja to crawl up in there, and that's just when you're buying a property, some of the inspectors, they do a great job, but they're not going to crawl into some of those hard places to get to like that. So, hey, Brian. With all that said, why don't you tell the folks out there that are listening? First of all, folks, these guys are good guys. I know their neighbors. They're the neighbors next door where I lived. These are their kids, and within that, it's I trust them with my dog. So hey, listen, you guys go ahead and plug the name of your company out there so everybody listen and they can jot this down. And if you can't jot it down when you're driving, basically just visit our Facebook. We'll have it up, and you guys can listen to the show again. So go ahead, Brian. Why don't you give a plug to your company name, where you guys are at, and so on and so forth. Number.
All right. The name of the company is Verkaman Construction. We're out of Casco Township, and phone number is 586-725-2447. It's 586-725-2447.
And you guys will come down and do stuff in Macomb County and that kind of stuff too, right?
Oh, yes. We do a lot of work down in Grosse Pointe, down as far as Grosse Pointe.
Yeah.
We've done work in Bloomfield Hills. We work St. Clair area, Marine City, Algonac. We go all over. We go where the work tells us to go.
Absolutely, you got to do that in today's world. It drives me to the radio show. I'm doing the show out here. This is my job. Every Sunday, me and Paul get together, and we spend all morning jostling about what we're going to talk about. So, hey, Brian, I appreciate it, man. Front seat in heaven for you. Great calling. Hey, everybody out there listening, these guys are good guys. If you want to get a hold of us on the show here, you can call us at 800-923-9385, 800-923-9385. Once again, 800-923-9385. And at that point, you can visit us at our website at oraclesofradio.com. For obviously real estate and law, or you can email us at questions. That's questions at oraclesofradio.com. Brian, hey, buddy, I'm going to let you go. I'll probably see you back at the house sometime here in the near future, and thanks for all the hard work at my place. I do appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You got it, buddy. Have a good one. All right, guys, we'll be back in just a little bit with the Oracles of Radio with Jimmy Moss and Paul Gigliotti. Thanks so much.
Chairman Ben Bernanke is keeping interest rates low for now, so it's time you take advantage of this opportunity and look into refinancing your current home or purchasing a new one. Parks Title wants to remind you to exercise your right to choose your own title company when refinancing or purchasing your home. Whether you are selling, buying, or refinancing, remember Parks Title is independently owned with offices across Michigan to serve you. Visit parkstitle.com or like us on Facebook to learn more about how Parks Title can serve you.
Moms of America, stand up and stop taking abuse from your kids.
I pledge never to let my kid disrespect me ever again. I pledge to stop letting my daughter walk all over me.
I pledge to stop living in fear of my son's anger.
I pledge never to feel like a bad parent ever again. Because I'm not.
I pledge to stop letting my child's behavior control my home.
I pledge to be a mom with kids who listen, a total transformation mom.
I'm Janet Lehman, co-creator of the Total Transformation Program. We created the Total Transformation to help parents with difficult child behavior. Now I'm giving it away free. All you need to do is get the program and let us know how it works for you. We'll let you keep it for free.
Call 1-800-596-8358. That's 1-800-596-8358. Call now. That's 1-800-596-8358. That's 1-800-596-8358.
This is an important message for all hardworking Americans. Not long ago, Michael Parnas was living on a park bench in New York City. Fast forward to 2008, he took a few $1,000s, and in less than 8 months, 8 of the worst trading months in stock market history, Michael made close to $4 million. He cracked the stock market's code and discovered the insider trends that your broker doesn't want you to know. So he is giving you his Power Trading, Power Living book and DVD to help take the mystery out of the market, break down the trades and trends you need to know, and show you how he went from a park bench to Park Avenue for free. Just pay shipping. Michael has never stopped believing that regular hardworking people can make money in the stock market. A lot of money. In fact, Michael is convinced power trading can work for you too. That's why he's giving you his book and DVD for free. Call Michael now at 800-878-1634 and claim your free copy. Call 1-800-878-1634. That's 1-800-878-1634. Trading carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for everyone.
Hey, folks, welcome back to the Oracles of Radio with real estate agent Jimmy Moss with Red Carpet Platinum here in the Tri-County area, and attorney here, Paul Gigliotti. And, hey, Paul, so what do you know?
Hey, just wanted to follow up on our last little segment there with Brian, and we were talking about things that sellers do to sometimes cover up problems with the home. And we talked about if you're a buyer, but if you're a seller, you want to put down any problems on your seller's disclosure form. You don't want to leave stuff out and roll the dice with it and take a chance. Most buyers, when they read something on there, they'll say, oh, I can fix that, or I know somebody that if there's a problem or whatever. So that would be the first thing I would say, is to put it on there. Second thing is, when you're selling, if you do have some kind of an issue and you're a nervous Nelly kind of person, get a home warranty on the home. And then that way, if the buyer has any problems down the road, they can call the home warranty company and take care of things. My last home, we had a home warranty when we bought the house. We had some problems, called the home warranty company. They took care of everything. There wasn't a problem. But just as a disclaimer, I've also had people call where they disclosed, had home warranty, and people still sued them. And I'm going to say this sarcastically.
Yeah, it's better to call the home warranty company than to call Paul. Yeah, but you're telling them right now that it still happens because some people just like to sue. But go ahead.
Yeah, and in our wonderful legal system, anybody can sue anybody for anything. And like I always say, you don't even need a reason.
Yeah, dog bite law. You know, I mean, there's attorneys that, hey. Go ahead.
So you basically just want to cover yourself. Don't think to yourself that somebody might not find out this or that or whatever. You want to be covered. You want to sell, and you want to not look back. You want to sell and just move forward in your new place and not have to worry about your old place.
Absolutely. Hey, folks out there, I'll help you sell your home too, and buyers, help you buy a property. Listen, I worked in Vegas for years, and that market is just tripendicular. And when it comes to that, when we're out there, there's some tactics that, right now you can't, it's tough here in Michigan, but it's 3 times harder to get a house in Vegas. So in writing offers and what you got to do to navigate the barracudas, you got to have a good real estate agent. They got to know what they're doing. They got to know their onions. They got to know their apples. And I do. So with that said, if there's something that I don't know, obviously, then we ask Paul, we ask our brokers, and we figure it out. But 9 times out of 10, we come fully loaded with being able to answer all questions. So, hey, Paul, so if I go drip, 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 before I was going pop, 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 if there's a housing bubble, now I'm going drip, drip, drip. What am I talking about?
Well, I already know. It has to do with water issues and mineral right issues.
It does. So the question is, I'm posing it out there to anybody, is water the next oil? with water shortages happening throughout the world, is water the next oil? I mean, I don't know, but some people say that it's a possibility, and the statistics are there's. I want to guess. See, what do I got here? That only 2.5% of the water on the planet is usable. The Great Lakes, I believe, supply water to about 40 million people. And with that said, there is 1.5 billion people that have lack of access to fresh water. And with the population of the Earth, going up, obviously, we're talking about big math and big numbers. Yeah, it's going to be an issue in the future. Is it going to be for us, our generation, or is it going to be for our kids? Sooner or later, someone's going to pay the piper, and it's going to be there. So, should you run up to the hills with an AK-47 and a can of beans? I don't think so. But at this point in time, it might not be a bad idea to own some land with some water rights and some mineral rights. I mean, it can't hurt. And so when you're buying land, that's why we use Parks Title. They're a great title company. You got to check to see, who owns the water right, who owns the mineral rights. And those are important that when you're getting the land that you get those when you're buying something. And it's just something to keep in the back of your mind, tuck that up and away. And, if you have some extra money rolling around, give us a call. We'll do some research. We'll find some properties, in the outlying areas or wherever you find it, interesting to own some land or a house with some land on it that has the water rights. Not to say that everybody's going to be knocking on your door for a glass of water in the future, but you never know. Stranger things have happened, I mean, or it could all boil down to, Paul, where Agenda 21 and the government comes and takes it all away. I mean, what do you know about that?
Yeah, that's a real kind of scary thing where the government's going to try and designate different lands for different things and what they're going to do with water. But, backing up to what you said, which generation is it going to affect? I think it affected our generation. I mean, think about it. We were kids. We would joke around and say, oh, one day they're going to charge for water. Now they do. You see everybody walking around with bottled water, and, you wonder to yourself, why don't they just get it out of their tap or whatever? And as far as real estate goes, that's got to be your question when you go to buy your house, not only the mineral rights, but just the water in general. Yeah. Are you buying on a well, or are you going to get city water? If you're buying on a well, you have to factor in some maintenance costs over time.
Right.
And usually people talk about that more in regards to a septic system, but it also applies to fresh water. And, talking about Agenda 21, well, if you think about it, going back a little bit, there have been situations where water companies come into an area, they put in their big corporate well, they're filling water bottles, selling them, and then the people who live in the surrounding area, their wells dry up. So, what do you do in that situation? Yeah. And that brings us back to the legal system. You
call Paul Gigliotti, right?
Yeah. You're going to sue, and then the question becomes causation. Did their well dry up your well? Right. I mean, who's going to go down there? Who's going to figure it out? Are you better off just not having the headache and getting city water, or you need to have a backup plan if something like that happens?
Right, and you got the people out there. I mean, not to say everybody's running around with tinfoil hats on and stuff like that, but in some of the cases. People don't like the fluoride in the water. I mean, I don't want this. The show's not about conspiracy theories and all that stuff, but some of it is sure interesting, and I'm sure there's some truth to a lot of different factors of that with water. And some people like to have their own well, their own water. They know what they're getting. They can test it. And with that said, it's not a bad idea to be able to have that. Now, sometimes you can't have both. You might have city water and you can't have a well. So you got to look into the ordinance, and you got to see what you got. But, call us, or, you can also visit Parks Title, and obviously you can look them up there in Royal Oak. They're a great company, and they'll help you out with some of those details when you're looking at, rights. But, just a quick overview of what Agenda 21 is, and I don't want to go into it deeply because it's not my forte, but it's a land grab by the government, pretty much what it is, and they're just trying to I guess it's an overall agenda from the United Nations in the sense that there's too many people in the world, and they want to look at an overall depopulation. But hey, we're looking at a depopulation in the housing market right now too. And,
I don't know. I like conspiracy theories, not necessarily that I follow them, but I think they're really interesting. And the thing that I think makes them interesting for me is how people, as a group, all of us, don't stand up and do something about it. And I'll give you a great example about one that was going on a few months back. There was a group of senators who were fighting electric cars. Okay. Now, who in their right mind would say, let's not have electric cars? And coincidentally, they were from oil-producing states.
Right.
Okay. So common sense should tell us, right?
I got another conspiracy theory. They say electricity is bad for your body and it causes cancer. It's like living next to a power line. I don't know.
Well, here's my other thing. This is a little bit off the wall, but I think it's really relevant, and I think it should make people think.
Yeah.
Let's say you were from another planet, and you said, okay, you have this planet Earth here, and you say, okay, what are their energy sources? Okay,
right.
Well, they have solar, it's unlimited. They have wind, it's unlimited. They have water, it's unlimited, and they have fossil fuels.
Solyndra.
They have fossil fuels, and they're going to run out. Okay,
right.
And then the next question would be, well, what do they use? They use the fossil fuels. Why? It's going to run out. They're not putting any technology into any of these resources
right.
that are going to last forever.
It would be nice. I know we're not there yet as far as cost, the cost approach, but some day it will be, and at that point in time, we'll have no water and we'll all have solar. So then we'll all be thirsty, but we'll have electricity, right? Is that how? I don't know. But, hey, I'm just a real estate agent trying to sell houses, and that's above my pay scale. But I do find it all interesting. And also, folks, Paul Gigliotti, if you got a good attorney out there, that's great. But Paul's a great attorney. So any legal questions that you guys have if you're driving around, give us a call. I mean, the number here to the show is 800-923-9385, 800-923-9385. And ask Paul some questions how the cow ate the cabbage, and he'll tell you. So he knows his onions, as we always say in the show, and apples.
I'm going to use that segue, and really, call me if you have any questions, whether it's something I do or something that necessarily we don't handle. I can at least refer you to somebody. Same thing with Jimmy. If you have some questions, you need somebody in a real estate related field. Jimmy, I don't know if you noticed, but your sister had a big write-up in the paper. I remember you mentioned a few weeks ago that she was Teacher of the Year.
My sister's so quiet about that kind of stuff.
Jimmy kind of said she was Teacher of the Year, but I think the more...
with the VFW, uh-huh.
Yeah, the thing that really is more impressive is that she's a special education teacher, and I've seen his sister... my kids went to the school that she teaches at, and I've seen what she's done. She's got her students involved in different programs. My kids were in the same choir as her students, and I see Sue shows up to the concerts at night. She's not one of these teachers that screams out the door at 2:18. And anyways, the thing that ties into us here is you come from good stock.
Yeah, we're in the community. I mean, we care. I mean, my mom and dad were in the JCs for years. I think my dad was a JCI senator, and then when they're all said and done, they were called Exhausted Roosters. So, I mean, the names that they come up with, and we grew up in that kind of that era of doing things in the community, being involved in different things. I think the first haunted houses that were ever in the St. Clair Shores area were put on by the JCs, and memories that I have as a kid that I'll take to my grave. I mean, just a great time growing up within all that community of people that were so involved in all of the Tri-County area, the things that they did, and your family too. I mean, you had your sister being a judge and all the books that she's written. I mean, it's nice to give back, and it's nice to have that that backing within that. And we try to do that within our show. I mean, we do this show here. Obviously, we don't get paid to do it, so we're just letting everybody know, hey, if you're looking for a good real estate agent and you need some I know about loans. I've been a loan officer for a long time. I'm not licensed here to do loans, but hey, I could tell you all the different fees and what they are, what they mean, when you look at a prelim, what's happening with title from A to Z, and to make sure that everything is on the up and up. And when you're selling a house, I cut my teeth in Vegas, and that market was just intense.
That's like the major leagues compared to here.
Yeah, it moves a lot faster. You got to be techie, and I think most people nowadays, 70% of the people that buy houses usually find their agents through the internet or something techie like that. But hey, I'm getting ready to jump out of here, Kurt. All right. Hey, folks, when we come back, I'll kind of give you an overview of what the current rates are and what's happening with the feds, and Paul will tell you a legal joke.
Thinking of downsizing? It's a seller's market, and sold signs are popping up all over town. Parks Title wants to remind you, you have a right to choose your own title company if you are selling, buying, or refinancing your home. Parks Title is independently owned with offices across Michigan to serve you. We have more than 25 years experience in clearing title and bringing deals to the closing table quickly and accurately. Talk to your real estate agent today. Visit parkstitle.com or like us on Facebook to learn more about how Parks Title can serve you.
This is Chris McCourtney of Faith Talk 1500, and I want you to meet the Power Company Kids Club in Pontiac. Did you know that in 2012, 10 Pontiac teens were charged with murder? For 20 years now, the Power Company Kids Club has been rescuing kids from that future, building their social, spiritual, and physical well-being through the saving power of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm inviting you to attend the 20th Anniversary Gala and Auction at the Royal Park Hotel on Friday, June 7th. Go to powercompanykidsclub.org for all the details. It's a great night of fun and entertainment, but more important, you can make a kingdom difference for youth and teens right here in Pontiac, Michigan. Please join us at the Royal Park for the 20th Anniversary Gala and Auction, and consider a financial gift too. Go to powercompanykidsclub.org right now, and thanks.
Thank you for the amazing job you've done in moving my first book forward in the publishing process.
Ludi Cotton Darnell's book, Ashley, Alex, and the Mystery Twins, was published with Zulon Press.
This is an exciting time for me.
Have you got a book for a Christian audience? Want to control the publishing process? Your free publishing guide is at christianpublishing.com.
I thank the Lord that Zulon Press has made it possible.
Visit Zulon Press for your free publishing guide at christianpublishing.com.
You own a business, you listen to talk radio, and you're upset with what's going on. Government regulation is bogging you down, taxes are skyrocketing, and Obamacare is frightening. Here's something you can do. Your business can support this radio station, and your advertising will reach thousands of defenders of freedom like you. Call Brad Smith at 248-581-1221. Your business can stand up for freedom with us. FM 92.7 and AM 1400. The Patriot.
Just take those old records on the shelf. I said listen to them.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Oracles of Radio. Every time I hear that intro coming in, I wish I missed the Bob Seger concert, and I just so badly wanted to go, but I had a prior commitment to attend. But hey, like I said, looking on the financial the finances, home finances of America. Excuse me, let me get that out. As of Friday, I guess the 30-year fixed is around 3.75% with an APR around 3.922%, according to these guys, and the 15-year is around 2.875% with an APR around 3.148%. And, and then the ARMs are out there as well. But, I always try to peg it off the 30-year and the 15-year. But that's kind of what these guys are shooting out there and saying where they're at. And that's probably at a par rate. I didn't dig into the details as far as that, but usually they don't price it as with the loan officer or the bank, making any money on it. Obviously, you can get that par rate, and then you have to pay to have your loan done. So it could cost you 1%, 2%, 3%. It depends upon where you go and who does your financing. But, with that says that there's two different ways. There's lenders paid financing, and then there's buyer paid financing. So when you're out there looking for a loan officer, looking for a bank, kind of ask some of those questions. Some of those things banks don't have to disclose some pertinent information, and loan officers, brokers per se, they have to, so they're scrutinized a little bit more. So make sure that you're dealing with apples and apples and what they have to offer when you're out there shopping for your loan. And I would always look around for about three different banks, and you can always call me, and I could just kind of send you down the right direction of who I think would be able to help you out with those details. But nevertheless, hey Paul, before we went to the break, you were saying I kind of threw it out there with a legal joke. So what's your joke, man?
Well, I love hearing good jokes. Matter of fact, I have a friend of mine from college, and it's funny because he could roll off thousands of jokes in a night, and he's never out of a supply of them. But I'm usually not a big joke teller myself. A lot of times I don't like to offend anybody, so I'll tell you this joke, and I'm really offending myself. What do you
So
call
humble.
What do you call 1,000 lawyers at the bottom of the ocean?
It's
A good start.
a good start. It was something start. Start
you
to
know,
finish.
Speaking of jokes and speaking of law, a ruling came down recently that said people's work emails, they shouldn't consider them as private.
Okay, so all right, so work emails aren't private anymore. So if I'm sending an email out there and I'm sending my joke out there, obviously it would be a good joke. I would send, but if you send something that's abstract.
Yeah, you never know who you're offending.
Absolutely.
And people don't do it as much anymore, but when the internet was kind of new, I don't know if you remember, people would just, their whole address book, they'd send a joke.
I get offended by the Hungarian jokes, because I'm Hungarian, and there's so many Hungarian jokes out there that it's horrible.
You'll have to tell me sometime. I've never heard any. I've heard the Italian ones. I'm half Hungarian, half Italian. I've heard the Italian ones, and I don't know. I mean, I don't get offended by the jokes or anything. Like, they're changing teams' names now, based on the heritage of the school or the area or whatever.
Don't get me started on that stuff.
Yeah, me neither. I always used to say, I've said this back from the 80s till now, if they made a football team and it was called the Flying Wops and they had pizzas on the helmet, I would not be offended. I would be like, yeah, that's my team. Go Italians, But
and the things that are flying is you mentioned to me today, and when I was pulling it, that Pulte Homes is flying out of Michigan. I mean, what's the story on that, man?
Yeah, they've been in this area since the 1950s, and they employ 380 people in Michigan, and they're going to just up and move down south, and everybody's in shock, and I've tried to do a little research to try and figure out the reason why, and my sarcastic saying is always follow the money, but it's devastating for the area.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a lot of jobs, man, and then you funnel that down to jobs and the job losses and the tax losses, and obviously it's bad news all the way around. But in the housing market, and in the legal side of it, I guess. There's always a concern that home prices are going up, and they're going up so fast, and we talked earlier in the show about a bubble, if there is one, and a lot of different people are saying no, there isn't, because of the factors that you kind of need to keep an eye on. These are the kind of the bubble factors that you need to look at. Number one, if housing prices are going up and it's still cheaper to buy a house than it is to rent a house, that's a good thing. So that's an indicator we're not too high. Even though prices have gone up a lot in some areas, 28%. And, I guess Phoenix is really hitting the charts, in Vegas as well. And, different parts of Michigan have gone up 20% as well. Some places a little less than others. But nevertheless, there's been a big increase in property because of supply and demand. It's just really simple. There's just not a lot of houses out there. So
I've got one for you.
Go ahead.
San Francisco, the houses went up $180,000.
In how long? In a day? Yesterday it was cheap. Today it's not.
If it was the day, I'd say we'd scramble right over there. Well, they said as of May 1st, nearly a 25% gain. They didn't say over how long, but real estate usually always goes up. So it's not like we're starting from zero or whatever. But that's just a huge gain. In Detroit, supposedly the price has gone up 33%.
Yeah, well, and the supply of houses have gone down dramatically, and there's not a lot of REO properties. Now listen to this. This is an interesting factor. Now, but home ownership for first-time home buyers and people that are owning properties themselves is dropping. Now, what's going on with that? So this is what's going on. Investors are buying these houses up cash. You go to write an offer, you have an FHA, a conventional loan, a VA, and you're sitting there trying to compete with these investors, and it's just a tough slog. And that's what's happening right now, is that the housing market is being bought up by investors, and it's making it hard. Now, I'm going to jump off this a little bit on track. So let me tell you your neighborhood. So here you are. You live in a nice street in your neighborhood, and every seven houses down the street is a rental property now. So, that's a little, does it make it a transient neighborhood? I mean, I lived in Vegas for a long time. It's very transient, and the houses have turned over even so. So now you have these rental properties, and it does affect the neighborhood a little bit because it's transient. There's a lot of people, they're moving in, they're moving out, they're not there for the long time. They don't, they're not putting in the garden or planting the new tree. They really don't care about that stuff, They're just looking for a place to stay. Yeah, most people are going to be decent, but it does cause a little bit of an issue. So when you're buying it, you can check to see what houses in the neighborhood are owner occupied, and a real estate agent might want to do that for you. Hey, take a look to see what's going on out there, and make sure that you're, it's just a little extra piece of information to know about.
Yeah,
it's not that it's going to kill the deal or something, but
my thing on that always is people need to use a little bit of their own common sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I always say, when you go to make a major decision, you always want to have your professionals guiding you.
Mm-hmm.
But before you get to that point, everybody needs to do their own research, okay?
Sure.
And come up with their own opinion and use their own common sense. For example, when I'm dealing with clients, I always say, how much do you think your house is worth? And they're like, well, I've got the SEV, I've got this, I've got that. And I say, no, tell me what you think without any of this. And they're
Right.
like, well, how? And one thing that I do is when I walk in my neighborhood and I see the for sale sign and I always see the little brochure in the box, I always grab those. Because now I'm on the front line seeing exactly what the house is selling for, what the square footage is, if there are any improvements and so forth.
Right.
So now if I do get to the point where I want to sell in my neighborhood, I can actually see firsthand, I can actually get my hand on what the true value is, because like you say, one house could throw off a neighborhood. And what we saw during the real estate skid was we'd have a client come in and their house would be way, way, way overvalued when they bought. And they'd be way upside down. They'd have to file a bankruptcy and get out of there. And then what I'd notice, I'd see other clients come in with the same street name. And I put all that together, and what would happen is you'd get one house that I call the blockbuster, where you'd get back in the day
where the kitchen's missing, and and it's sold for $50,000. Everything else is selling for $100.
Appraiser buddy, or I would always say mortgage guy calls appraiser buddy and says, "Look, I could."
That's a good change that law changed. And they didn't have
absolutely.
hey, let's meet for a beer. What do you think about this house? It's going to sell for how much? Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
But what happens is then you get all the houses in the neighborhood artificially selling at a higher price because they all point to this one house. Hey, this one sold for $250,000.
Sure.
I can get $240,000 for mine, and that'll work for a while. But then you've got 3-4 streets away are all selling for way less,
right?
And everybody's like, well, hey, I can buy 3-4 streets away for way less than that, and then that particular street or area or whatever just takes a big nosedive.
Well, looking at some of the stuff, Trillia, the little bubble indicator that I pulled up in Trillia. They said that we were not going to see a housing bubble for 10 years. Now, hey, that's their words, not mine. But I always look at it like this, folks. When you're out there, if you can afford to buy the house and you can buy it, and it's going to be cheaper to buy it than to rent it, always buy what you can afford. Don't overextend yourself. It's nice to be able to go out to eat. It's nice to be able to have time with the kids, and that's really the most important factor. Is when you're buying a property, make sure you can still live life and you don't live for that housing payment, that house payment. It's a real big push for me. Sometimes I might talk people out of a place and say, hey, it might be a little bit too much house for you. Even though you can afford it, it doesn't mean you should buy it. So, hey, we'll be right back, and Paul's going to come in with another joke as soon as you come back.
This is Dustin McClellan, Assistant Director of the Power Company Kids Club. Did you know that in 2012, 10 Pontiac teens were charged with murder? For 20 years now, the Power Company Kids Club has been rescuing kids from that future, building their social, spiritual, and physical well-being through the saving power of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm inviting you to attend the 20th anniversary gala and auction at the Royal Park Hotel on Friday, June 7th. Go to powercompanykidsclub.org for all the details. It's a great night of fun and entertainment, but more importantly, you can make a kingdom difference for youth and teens right here in Pontiac, Michigan. Please join us at the Royal Park Hotel for our 20th anniversary gala and auction, and consider a financial gift too. Go to powercompanykidsclub.org right now, and thank you.
Attention homeowners. The Obama administration is pressuring lenders to do more to prevent foreclosure with its Home Affordability and Stability Plan. If you own a home and you're having trouble making your payments or facing foreclosure, we can help. Call the National Mortgage Helpline at 800-391-6649. We now have the ability to stop foreclosure proceedings, forgive late payments and penalties, take your adjustable rate mortgage to a fixed rate, and reduce your mortgage payment to as low as 2%.
We were 3 months behind on our payments, and the National Mortgage Helpline was able to get our mortgage company to take the payments we were behind, put them on the back of our loan, and lower our interest rate. Now we have a payment we can afford.
Simply call 800-391-6649. Again, that's 800-391-6649. If you're having trouble paying your mortgage, call the National Mortgage Helpline today at 800-391-6649. You don't need equity or good credit. You just need to call 800-391-6649.
Dennis Miller says the landscape of America has changed.
It's a different country now. It's not about money. It's about time. Take the money you've got. Don't earn any more. Get your nest egg together, whatever it is, and go see some things, taste some foods, be thankful for the woman in your life, all your kids. But I'm telling you, going for it, striving is so yesterday.
The Dennis Miller Show, weekdays at 11, right before Dennis Prager at 1, on FM 92.7 and AM 1400. The Patriot.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Oracles of Radio with real estate agent Jimmy Moss with Red Carpet Platinum and attorney on hand, Mr. Paul Gigliotti. We work together in the show, and we work in the Tri-County area, so servicing Oakland and Macomb and Wayne County and all your needs that you may have for legal or for real estate. So, do give us a call. At our office, you can reach us at 855-USA-1976. So that'll you can either pick to talk with Paul or myself. So once again, 855-USA-1976. That's once again 855-USA-1976. Or you can visit us at oraclesofradio.com, and you can email Paul or myself within there. So if you have any real estate questions, any law questions, we definitely want to help you out. We know what we're doing, and we're willing to spend the time to help you out. Just looking at it real quick here, the Feds, they're still keeping rates low, between 0 and 0.25%. I think since December of 2008, things are pretty low. We've had a few scares that they might, raise the rates. They have gone up. Obviously, probably a couple of months back, you could have got a 3% all day long in a 30-year, and or 3.25 for sure. I know we did some of those in Vegas. So, things are going up, so that makes the houses more expensive. So, if you're going to buy, it's not a bad time with the rates being low. Nobody knows when the worm will turn. But, the things that you're looking at, hey, if you can own a house and you can get the tax write-off on it, that's a big thing in itself. So, if you're sitting on the fence out there, and I know a lot of college kids have finished school, and they've seen this horrible economy that we've gone through, and they were, obviously their parents have suffered, and financially it's been complicated for the U.S. Who knows? We lost 50% of our wealth. I don't know. We lost a lot. So I think that it's not a bad time to jump in the market and buy. You got to compete with the investors, but hey, if you don't ask, you don't get kissed. You got to get out there and give it a shot. And with that said, Paul, I know you wanted to talk about something real quick. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, going back to you were talking about the inventory of houses out there and how the inventory dried up and so forth, and you're talking about the young buyers. There was an article in the paper recently about the young home buyers, and the article's about how the young home buyers are picky, and so again, throwing all the statistics out, I've heard of a lot of young people buying houses the last 3-4 years, and really the timing's been fantastic for them.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah,
I know some people that are just so excited that they bought.
They've come out of school, they found bargains, and I would tell young people that too. You've got the energy, you could do little fix-up, little projects, you could take your time. A lot of them are like, well, I don't have the $20,000 to fix it up overnight or whatever. I tell them, you're going to live in this house for 30, 40 years maybe.
Yeah.
Take your time, do a project at a time or whatever. So that's kind of my thing. The other thing, we're talking about, okay, the bubble and this and that. What about the gas prices recently?
Yeah,
okay.
I paid $4.09 a gallon for the gas.
Okay,
it went up like 40 cents overnight. Right. I slept.
Yeah.
It's just like San Francisco. Those houses went up like $180,000 in one day. I know we're
Yeah, no, but seriously, so
It's crazy.
You could look at all these statistics and so forth, but really, again, you got to go back to your own common sense. And so my theory on that is that everybody kind of was very prudent with their money. They saved, they waited. Now they're starting to spend a little bit, and it seemed like once that statistic went out there, boom, the interest rates are going up, the price of gas is going up, and it's almost like somebody out there hears that we're ready to spend. So now they're going to gouge us or take advantage of us, Yeah,
they're mixing up the medicine in the basement. I don't know who that is. It's a bunch of algorithms and people with cone heads. I don't know.
But, the same thing goes with real estate and so forth. It's funny. My wife's a real estate agent, so whenever I hear a headline on the news or whatever.
Hi, Kim.
I always chuckle and so forth. And yeah, she's an angel for having to deal with me because my brain never stops. And when I hear headlines and stuff, I always talk about it. But anyways, the headlines, that's been the funny thing for the last 15 years is they've always said, now is the time to buy. So 10 years ago, now's the time to buy.
10
years ago. 5
years
years ago, now's the time to buy. 15 years ago, now's the time to buy.
But 2 years, I should say about 2 years ago, about 2 years ago in Vegas, I had people going, it's $5,000 more than I really want to pay for this house, and you're looking at this house is $110,000, and now that same house, is going up quite a lot. So, that timing, it's hard to hit the bottom exactly.
It is.
It really is. But think about it like this, folks. When you're out, you're out there and you're putting your portfolio together for retirement. You got to have a house or two in your portfolio. It's not a bad idea to have it because it's a tangible asset. You can touch it. I mean, it's nice to have stocks and everything like that. I mean, I'm not an expert in that at all. There's enough shows on the radio that you could listen to all week on financing and in the stocks. But hey, when it comes to buying, if you can buy that house and you can get an 8% return or 10% return, that'd be great. Even if it's a little bit lower, you got to look at it. Sit down with your CPA and do all the breakdown of the taxes. I mean, you got a tax write-off, you got some residual income coming in, sooner or later the house is paid off, then in turn you could sell it later on in your golden years and take a cruise around the world, I mean, you might not be able to go to Disney, they just raise their prices on everything, but nevertheless, it's something to think about and put together.
That's a real important point.
Yeah, it is.
In our office dealing with bankruptcy clients, coming out of their bankruptcy, they say, well, how do I know what I can afford? And what I always tell them is whatever the mortgage person tells you, spend less. And really, you're going to cringe, but I always tell them spend 25% less than what they tell you because they don't tell you you're going to need a roof.
We're conservative.
You're going to need a furnace. You're going to need a hot water heater. But that goes right along with what you're talking about, whether you're living or whether you're going to buy an extra house to rent out.
Yeah.
As long as it's something that you can afford, you're going to be okay. So if the market does drop and the equity in your house goes down, but you have a nice low house payment, you're living life.
It's a good thing.
You can afford to do what you do. And if it's a rental and you're making a profit because your payment is so low, that's a win-win also. Even if the value goes down, you still have income coming in.
Hey folks, that's the infamous Paul Gigliotti there talking, the attorney at law here in the Tri-County area. So hey, give Paul a call. I mean, you can get a hold of Paul at 855-USA-1976. It's 855-USA-1976. And or obviously visit oraclesofradio.com. That's the website, oraclesofradio.com. It's just a simple landing page that you can jump to, and then you can be able to find Paul and all the good things about Paul there, and give him a call and pick his brain. Myself, Jimmy Moss, I'm a real estate agent here with Red Carpet Platinum, and I would love to help you with your listing of your property and buying your house out there. Buying a house. It's just you got to have a realtor that can be able to talk to the other realtor on the other line, make them feel comfortable with what's going on. You got to be a communicator in this business. As much technology as there is out there, you got to sit down and you got to be able to negotiate with the other side, and that's a real important. When you're looking for a real estate agent, you got to have somebody that has the gift of gab. They got to be able to talk, and they got to kind of ease it. You kind of feel everybody out, and you just roll with it. And when you're firing on all cylinders, you know it, and you got a listing coming up. You're going to list it for a good price, and I love finagling with when buyers agents call and they're like, hey, what's going on with this? What's going on? I love that. I love that thrill of the chase.
I think the word you're looking for is passion. You didn't say that. You're describing it, but you got to find somebody with passion. I do.
Absolutely. You got to have a lot of love. You got to take care of your peeps. You got to. I mean, that's the bottom line. Referrals. If you don't have those, what do you got? So you just can't you can't make
best
it.
advertising in the world, and me in my office too. My brain doesn't turn off. I'm always thinking of ideas, and that's why I always tell people, even if I don't do your kind of law, call me, because you could tell by my sarcastic comments.
Yeah.
I could tell you what to look out for, regardless of what type of legal question that you have, and I can direct you to somebody that's going to help you out, properly, and
Absolutely.
That's the whole thing.
Hey, folks, we had a great time this Sunday doing the show for you. Once again, Jimmy Moss with Red Carpet Platinum and Paul Gigliotti, attorney at law here in the Tri-County area. And we just want to say, have a great Sunday. Hug your kids. Give somebody a call that you haven't called in a long time. I don't know. Do something special,
Spend some time with the whole
play
family.
it forward,
yeah.
Play it forward. That's the way you keep that positive energy going, Without that, it's a spiritual dead end. So stay on the up tip. And go ahead, Paul. You want to take it away?
No, yeah, I was just going to say, spend some time with your family. We do church every Sunday morning, and it gets me so fired up for the show because the pastor's always talking about giving back to the community and, having a purpose in life.
Get out of the cart and start pulling it, right? Be part of the team.
Absolutely. And communicating it. And, it's ironic that you're talking about that, because that was the whole theme today, was that, we need to do stuff together. And part of that is communication, or like we talk about, become fishers of men.
You gotta look out for your peeps. Yep, you gotta take care of your friends, family, and everybody that you're running into out there. It's good for you. It helps you, feel good about what you're doing and where you're going in life, and because we all get to the same spot, even the youngest baby.
We can see socks for miles.
I'm sorry, Lunar One. Did you say socks?
Miles and miles of socks.
Like we